Hi everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Sara Roversi from the emblematic community of Pollica, and today with our Med Talk, we are with one of our greatest friends. Today we are flying to Italy. Last time we were in Croatia, and we are gonna go all around the entire Mediterranean, connecting all the network of the emblematic communities of Mediterranean diet. And today we are with Professor Elisabetta Moro, that has been one of, let's say, the powerhouse behind all the studies. And I would say, thanks to her and Professor Marino Niola, we can say that in Italy we have an incredible, say, source of inspiration, knowledge that is preserving and helping us to safeguard Mediterranean diet and to make it accessible to all of us and overall to the new generation, because they have been working for many, many years on the virtual museum of Mediterranean diet, capturing all the voices, the stories, and overall, let's say, the pieces of life of our knowledge keepers. So I'm very, very honored and very pleased to have here today Professor Elisabetta Moro, that is a great friend of our community in Cilento.
Hi, Sarah, and thank you for this invitation. I'm really honored to be here with all of you, with all the communities, of course.
And so, actually, this day, I was saying to Elisabetta before, I really would love her to share with us a little bit what has been the journey behind the scenes. Because if nowadays we can say that we have Mediterranean diet that is a living heritage, that is in the list of the intangible heritages of UNESCO, so humanity can benefit from the entire work that her, together with many other researchers and scientists, have been doing, studying the history behind the lifestyle of the Mediterranean diet, let's say. So I would say would be very curious from our perspective to know what you have been studying, what you have been researching, and overall, if you have some suggestion for all of us within the network, because we have a strong responsibility. We are the one that needs to be empowered, and we have the responsibility to preserve, safeguard, and of course to transfer Mediterranean diet to the next generation. So the work you have been doing, it's for us a piece of responsibility that we are carrying on. So this is something that today we want to learn, because we would love to know also how we can support this mission, and working together how we can really keep going, adding more pieces to this beautiful puzzle.
Well, I would start from the end, what to do. I would say we have to follow two keywords. The first is research, because we have to make research, also a spontaneous research, because a cultural heritage needs to be preserved also through studies. And the other password, I would say, is creativity, because we have to do something new with our heritages, because history is always changing, we are changing, our necessities are changing, the planet is changing, and so we must be creative, because safeguarding a culture means to make this culture be alive. Not just to sterilize or make a makeup around a cultural heritage. We really have to accept the challenge to be creative in the transmission of this culture. And so in order to do this, since I'm an anthropologist, and since all researchers are in a certain way creative, I've been inventing with my group. It's a very huge group of students, pupil, PhD students, and many also colleagues, so university professors. We are trying to keep our brain working on this topic. And so I would like to share with you some images in order to be more clear in my short speech. And I would like to show you where we started, so you'll understand why we are now working at a virtual museum concerning the Mediterranean diet. And it's a virtual museum that is open source. It's for free. It's produced by professors, my students, many common people, people in Pollica, in the community of Pollica in the province of Salerno. But we also have guests from many of the communities, and I hope that all these people we are interviewing will be in a bigger number, in a higher number in the next years, because also the other communities have lots of witnesses who could be inside this virtual museum that is doesn't belong to anybody. It has a place in my university in Naples, but it is on the web internet. So it's really open source, and we hope that people use it in order to empower their knowledge, to see some things that are very curious concerning cooking, living, harvesting, fishing, but also being an artist. We also have a section concerning artists, and one section concerning cookers, and one section concerning teenagers, because we also believe, and one concerning centenaries, so people who are very old and they have secrets concerning how to get old in a good health. And so you can go around in this huge amount of interviews. Now we reach 300 interviews. They are all underlined in English, and some are also in other languages. They are not all in Italian. And we are just making an effort to have I say a low-cost museum, because nobody has too much money for the cultural heritage. A low-cost museum, but that goes everywhere and it's free for everybody. So I would ask our friend to show the PowerPoint, the PDF I prepared, the slides. Here they are. And this is the point where we start from. Next slide, please. Okay, these are the pioneers of the Mediterranean diet. I always say, without Ansel Keys and Margaret Honey, we would not have even the name Mediterranean diet, because they invented this label. And it's very important because this was necessary in order to identify this intangible cultural heritage. And here they are in different ages. In the middle, in the picture in the middle, you see they are just getting off a ferry boat from Capri, the island in the Mediterranean Sea. And on the right-hand side, you have them when they were almost 100 years old, and they were still witnesses in the world of this Mediterranean diet. And I would like to underline that they were a bit doctors, medicines, a bit biologists, a bit anthropologists. And this is very important because they really were open-minded, and that's why they made a very big effort in order to make the Mediterranean diet to be well known in the world. So next slide, please. And here is almost everything started. I'm now in Rome at the moment, and I'm very close to the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And here is the place where in 1951, for the first time, Ansel Keys started to talk about nutrition and the connection between what he would have named Mediterranean diet many years later, and health. And this is very important because now we know that the Food and Agriculture Organization is now pushing the world to be very attentive to the sustainable nutrition. And we know that the Mediterranean diet is very sustainable because there is a very a bigger part of food coming from the vegetables, from pulses, lenses, and all that stuff, beans, and so on, and a lot and not a lot of the nutrition of the Mediterranean area comes from cereals. And this is also important because, of course, the cereals give a very good apport and they don't stress too much the soil. Of course, everything we produce stresses a little bit the planet, but in a certain way, we also have to accept the fact that on the planet, we also are present. So we have to somehow survive. And now I would like to go to the next slide, please. And this is also a slide I'm very happy to show you, because in a certain way, this is a movie, a very well-known movie, Journey to Italy. And it's a movie that was filmed by Roberto Rossellini in 1952. And here are the two actors, Ingrid Bergman, the very well-known actress, and the other one is George Sanders. And Ansel and Margaret Keys arrived in Italy more or less like this. They were not so rich. They were really average, from the average class. And but they arrived with the same spirit. So they arrived in Italy because they were looking for the Mediterranean civilization. And they found in Italy a sort of inspiration, and they tried to put together medicine, research, and health problems with the poetic way of living that, in a certain way, we still have in the Mediterranean area. And this poetic way of living has to do with conviviality, being together, giving to free time with friends a very important role. And so, in a certain way, they were looking for a lifestyle. Also, in this movie, they were coming to Italy in order to make a journey like they used to do in the 18th century. For example, the great writer Goethe did the same. And all these people coming from Italy from the 18th century until now, they were always looking for the Mediterranean civilization with open mind, and I would also say with a heart, with a very loving disposition toward our country, even if in a certain way they found that Italy was a little bit primitive. Because we were not so much rich as they were in US, and also because Italy was not industrially developed as other parts of Europe or of the United States. But in a certain way, and this has to do a little bit with all the communities of the Mediterranean diet, we know we are a little bit in the past and a little bit in the present. And I would say, as an anthropologist, that this is not a problem. We just have to valorize all this difference, and we have to be proud of the fact that, in a certain way, we live with so many incredible values that we simply have to share with others who want to know how we live and why we do certain things, and we have certain practices. Next slide, please. This is the study, the 7-country study, which is the most important, the first very important study on the Mediterranean diet. And as you see, the research started from comparing different countries. There was at that time Italy, Greece, Yugoslavia, and Japan. On the other side, there were also Netherlands, Finland, and US. And comparing all these countries and their lifestyle and their level of health, they realized that somehow in all the countries that are in light blue, there was a virtuous lifestyle. And so Ansel and Margaret Keys and a huge amount of researchers um, got into this very interesting study, and they showed what we now know and what is very clear, that a Mediterranean lifestyle is healthier, produces the possibility to become elder in a great state of health. And this was very important for Ansel and Margaret Keys, also for democratic reasons, because they were concerned with the fact that to be a good, to be in health in US, it was very expensive. And a good lifestyle keeps you away from sicknesses. So it was really a democratic reason that was pushing these two people and many other researchers toward our countries. So next slide, please. This is, as you all know, the newspaper, the magazine Time, that in 1961 gave the cover to Ansel Keys. But if you read inside, as I did in my studies, you will see that in 1961 there was really a prejudice concerning the Mediterranean diet because US and all the Western countries were going toward a different landscape, and especially they were going to a different idea and lifestyle. And so it was hard to say that in the Mediterranean area there was something better than being in the center of US with lots of food, with comfortable houses, and with all the rest. And you will see if you read this magazine that there is a little bit of prejudice. And of course, now we know that he was right and his group was right, because every time there is a study concerning the Mediterranean diet in order to show that it's not correct, people fail because many researchers have been trying to make meta-analysis in order to show that this is not really the right recipe for health. And at the end, they always have to admit that it is. So let's go further to the next slide, please. And this is the area of Italy, Cilento, where is the community of Pollica. As you see, it's in the south of Italy, but I suppose you all know about it. It's in the province of Salerno, and I live very close to it in Naples. And I go there since many years for many months during the summertime. At the beginning, I was just a tourist, and now I'm a certain field anthropologist of this special community where people are really wise. And I've been writing many things. Maybe at the end, I will show you some of my books. And what I always realize when I talk with people over there is that they have a kind of interior measure of what they have to do. They don't eat too much, they don't do too much, they don't stress the habitat, the nature too much, they don't keep get too much from nature. They just get what is necessary. They have a certain frugal life. They really have a measure, and this comes from a very ancient philosophy that has to do with the Greek culture, but also it has to do also with the medical school of Salerno, that is the first medical school in the Western countries, and where they always said something that we all know, that food makes health. And this is still the main thought that people in Cilento have. Of course, they are changing too, so they are not just there sitting outside their houses and eating frugal things. They also like all the rest of the of life. But I always notice that people who are deeply in the culture of Cilento, they really have this interior measure that makes them very respectful of nature and also of other people. And this is very important. You know, we are in a world where people tendentially don't respect others. So I would like to go to the next slide in order not to be too long. And these are the two heroes of our history, Ansel and Margaret Keys in 1965, when they started to live in this little village next to the sea, Pioppi, that is part of the Pollica community. Next, please. Next slide. Here we are. And here are their books where you find the history of their discoveries. I always show them because even if you probably know them, it's very interesting to go through their pages. And what is very interesting for me as an anthropologist is also that they were very caring with writing, and with the narration, with the storytelling, we would say today, um, through which they could explain all the secrets of the Mediterranean lifestyle. This is very important. Words are always very important. And also, you will see, you will read in these pages an attitude, the one I was talking about at the beginning. They arrived in all the countries they've been studying with open mind and with a positive disposition. The question is always to be, in a certain way, open to what other countries, other cultures, other people are thinking, and try to get the best of it. And so, next slide, please. Here is one of the results of my research and of my group. It's the Mediterranean Diet Universal Pyramid. We made it for Expo Milan 2015. And as you can see at the bottom of this pyramid, we insisting in having certain behaviors, 7 behaviors, which are very, very important. The first is conviviality. The second is cooking together with different generations and also different gender, because it is the Mediterranean diet is a heritage belonging to all of us, and we all have the necessity and the role of safeguarding this lifestyle. And of course, cooking is the base, the basic action we all have to um, know and also to practice. The next is school education, because of course, sooner you learn, better you live. And then in the middle, there is the physical activity. We decided to walk with a dog and not to be too stressed by a fitness, a very athletic fitness, because you know that one of the problems now in the Western countries is also what we call vigorexia, so a sort of obsession for running and for fitness. And what we learn from the Mediterranean culture is that we should never stress too much our body. Stress is not good. To do too much is not good in any case if you want to have a long life. And then we have another step that has to do with um, uh, let's see, yes, with traditions. Traditions are always important, even if sometimes we have cooking traditions that are a little bit too fat, too sweet, maybe too good. But as a cultural anthropologist, I would tell you that we should not somehow make a confusion between tradition and perfect nutrition. Perfect nutrition has to do with health, hospitals, and other scientists. As an anthropologist, I can tell you that traditions are really the way through which we somehow inherited ideas, heritage, a sort of relationship with cookies, with plates, with recipes. And we should not commit the error to cancel certain dishes just because they are caloric or too sweet or too fat. Because in that case, we erase a heritage. We just have to balance, and we cannot eat every day, we know, ice cream and cakes. But if we balance in a perfect way, we can eat whatever we want, because this is what researchers tell us. It's very clear. Nothing is forbidden for humans, except if you have a sickness, of course. And then there is the last one that has to do with the last two. One is the seasonality, of course, for the sustainability is very easy. I don't have to explain to anybody. And the last one is zero waste. It's very important not to throw in the garbage our food. We know that there are still about 800 millions people who do not have enough food. And so we have to be ethic enough to understand that we have to eat. Maybe we have to buy less food to produce less food in our houses, but we have to eat all. So next slide, please. Next again. This was a postcard that we try to give to students and passionate people who want to know a little bit more about the Mediterranean diet pyramid. And this is the museum. Here we are with the museum. And I decided to put this slide and especially this picture because this lady, Delia Morinelli, was the cook who taught to Ansel and Margaret Keys many secrets concerning the Cilento lifestyle and the Cilento cooking. And you will have the opportunity to listen to her in our museum. Under her picture, there is the link where you find the museum. It's a Mediterranean diet, V like virtual, and like museum.com. And please, next slide. And you will find many people, many common people and very important people. And I would like to start from this lady, Adonia or Antonia Tricopulo, who is one of the inventors of the pyramid of the Mediterranean diet with the medical school of Harvard. And she's very special. And if you will listen to this interview that I made myself, you will understand why you need to have a food culture in order to make the right choices. It's not just a question of nutrition. Then on the top, you have a great architect, Joseph Riquert. He goes very close to 100 years old now. He's from Poland, but he's now in Great Britain. He's one of the most important historian of architecture. And he has many memories because memories are a part of the cultural heritage. And you will also find through his words in the underline of his words, you will see how a special person approaches to food and to people. And then in the corner on the right hand side, you will have a great anthropologist, Marc Auger, very famous, who just passed away. And he was a very important anthropologist who had a very special vision also of food as part of culture. And so he's also present in our virtual museum. Next slide, please. These are some books I just show you because in case you want to read, of course, the first two are in Italian. I understand it is not a very common language, but if you have, now you have very good instruments. So if you, for example, buy a book in ebook, you can also have a translation, a very rough translation with many software. So maybe you can also get inside the first two books, La Dieta Mediterranea and I luoghi della dieta mediterranea. But the book I would suggest you is the third one because it's also in English, Secrets of Mediterranean Diet, where you will find my essay concerning the research I made, but you would also have a chapter concerning the way in which the Mediterranean diet got to the great recognition of UNESCO, the process. And it's very interesting to get into the process. And it's very interesting because you will understand also how to preserve this cultural heritage. In case you want to look for it, I suggest you to look for it with the Italian title because for a reason I don't know, Amazon, for example, has the book, but you have to research it with the Italian title. So, Segreti della dieta mediterranea. And next slide, please. Here are my contacts in case you want to talk to me. But in any case, you have the community of Pollica through which you can get in touch with me. And I would take off the presentation at this point, and I would like to conclude saying that So what we all have to do, as I told you at the beginning, is to be very creative. As I told you, this museum is a low-cost museum. Of course, we have lots of experience because we are researchers, but it's a model that you can also adopt in case you want to know how we do it. Just write me. We will have the opportunity to tell you how to do it. But if you want to cooperate with the museum, I think it's even better because if we have a problem in the Mediterranean area, is that we all tend to be on ourselves. We are not very cooperative. This is something we should learn from the north of Europe and from US. We should be more connected, as you are doing with these Mediterranean talks, because more we are connected and more we are able to have you know to realize something that is very important. And I think that if a museum is open source, is for everybody, and nobody makes money out of it because it's for free, we all can put our experiences and our interviews in the same place and share it with the world. This is probably really my final consideration for tonight is let's keep in touch and let's do things together, please. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Elisabetta. I always enjoy so much hearing the true story because you feel that there is a lot of authenticity. And living in Cilento, every time you're talking, I'm feeling I'm really connected with this land and with the people that are still preserving the heritage. I would say I want to take your suggestion on using our creativity because nowadays we need really to jump into the Mediterranean diet as you are teaching us every single day, staying a little bit away from what we see coming out. Mediterranean diet to get thinner, Mediterranean diet to get smarter, Mediterranean diet for your hair. Mediterranean diet need to be absolutely embedded in our life, starting from the cultural perspective, starting from how we're living, how we are approaching life. And if we're reading your books, we can really understand that Mediterranean diet is itself the best representation of what we conceive sustainable growth, sustainable development, and sustainable living. Starting from the kitchen, and the kitchen that is always fighting waste, but just because they are able, thanks to creativity, to transform waste into something that is very tasty, as well as how they are managing lands, how they are preserving and valorizing biodiversities, and so on. So, absolutely. Also, my suggestion is start to get inspired by Mediterranean diet because what we are hearing in the classrooms or also in our companies when we're leaving out of our home, where everybody's focused on the 2030 agenda and sustainable development, I think it's absolutely becoming something that is reality if we embed Mediterranean diet in our daily life. So thank you so much, and I
Thank you.
invite the entire network to get in touch with the museum because it would be amazing to develop even other areas of the museum involving even more stories and knowledge keepers coming from the other emblematic communities. So, of course, I want to say echo your voice, and I'm going to make sure that we're going to promote what you're doing as much as we can because absolutely this is something that you are making for the world as well as Mediterranean diet has been preserved. Thank you so much, and see you
Thank
next
you.
month
And
network.
thank you to all the listeners tonight, and have a good life.
And see you in Polica. I always say that because I am representing Polica, so I just can say
Yes,
see you in
of
Polica.
course.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Ciao.
Bye bye.